Alright, we have Fun Buggy episode 4. We have a lot's happened. I've gotten a lot of things done. We're right at the edge of an actual test here for function. We have the steering, the brakes, the shifter, all that stuff's been sorted out. It's all finaled. I have the exhaust done. Well, I still have to powder coat it with the high temp stuff so it's pretty, but that's all just the final details. But we have two on there so I can hook up my smoke, and don't mind the rat's nest. I kind of intentionally left it a mess like that so you can kind of see the during. This is all the wiring, and it's a little bit complicated. You have the receiver in there that's being fed by the regulator. So right now the switch is on. You turn it off, that shuts off the regulator and all the radio stuff. So power on. We have the radio comes on. Right now, the ignition kill switch is in the off position. Now we have ignition. This is throttle. That's also a throttle kill. That kills the throttle servo position and the kill switch for the ignition. So we have throttle servo. I don't know if you can see it in there. Oh. Let's see, where's the carburetor at? There. It's here somewhere. I'm lost. Not the first time. Alright. Alright, so the carburetor, and then I'm using the optical switches as a signal to power relays, which is how I did my ignition kill. The relay is energized to open the circuit, which is the ground wire for the coil. So if it loses power and the relay closes the circuit, then the ground wire for the coil gets grounded and the engine shuts off. So that's how my safety switch is going to work. So it can either shut off because I flipped the switch, it'll shut off because it lost signal, or it will shut off if it loses power. So I'm covered from every situation that could arise. The engine will shut off. Not to mention the failsafe. If you lose signal, everything will go to neutral on the it'll go to neutral on the transmission. The engine will shut off, and I'll also have a little bit of brake input in the failsafe. So I'll show you the brakes over here. So and that is with and the steering. I started cutting the mast off here at the top where the handlebars were, so it's no longer supported right there. And I don't want to do a lot of articulation with the wheels on the ground while it's not moving, but you can see it's moving. So there's the steering, and but we have this old battery here. It's an old jet ski battery. I kind of revived it enough for some testing, but it's really weak, and I'm hoping that the new battery I have coming will have enough juice to prevent the voltage drop that I'm getting right now. If I have my starter on this switch here, this switch disables the start circuit, so nothing happens when I push the button. When I energize the starter, then this optical switch will energize, which powers that relay, which energizes the starter solenoid. But when we have cranking amp draw, that causes the receiver to shut off from lack of power. It drains too much. So I put a couple capacitors on the receiver, and that helped a little bit, but they aren't really big enough to get the engine cranking. Not that they're doing anything to crank the motor. I'm just saying the motor will start to pick up speed, and that current draw will lessen. Everything comes back on again, and it starts to work. But those capacitors just don't have enough oomph to keep it going. And you'll see here what happens when I go to start it. And here we go. My battery's just dead. Now if I come up here, and my ignition is on, so I'll anticipate this to start if we actually get enough cranking. But and I am at idle, and I'm in neutral. All right, so we'll try to crank it. Yeah. So yes, there's too much current draw when the receiver shuts off. So I might end up having to power the receiver off a LiPo, in which case none of this will be an issue, and it'll crank and run just fine. I'll just have to charge the LiPo once in a while. But all the accessories that I plan on running on here will still be powered from the battery and the charging system. Just the receiver itself will be powered from a LiPo if the new battery doesn't make a difference there. But we do have final drive. Final drive is done. It's really cool, and I'll go ahead and pull start it here since I can do that. And if I was actually to put this in gear right now, we would have movement. It would actually go. But obviously we can't do that. We have too much of a spiderweb's mess, and the steering isn't finished. And but it's a little teaser. So, and I'll go ahead and show you what happens when I shut the radio off to simulate a lack of signal. Ta-da! All right, fun buggy.